what series has interested you the most?
I like this Minnesota St. Louis one. I know they've been kind of beating up on each other a little, but it's two contenders. I would say this is the closest series out there as far as teams competitively close to each other. I know St. Louis beat up on them once. Fucking Minnesota got back at them. But I think these are the two closest teams out there. So I've been enjoying it. There's been some bad blood out there. Marc-Andre Fleury's gotten 3 straight starts. I know everyone thought Cam Talbot was going to get in there. They bring in Fleury. They don't waste them. They bring him in. They throw him right out there. How do you think Cam Talbot feels right now? Do you think he's a team guy? Like, obviously, he's going to say the right thing.
Well, they had a talk with him as soon as it happened. And was he probably upset? I thought it was Cam Talbot's net to lose when Fleury came over. And I thought he lived up to every expectation, given that amount of pressure where you have that internal competition. I was actually surprised they did start with him. I actually wrote down in my notes where if I was a coach, I would have actually started Talbot. But boy, was I wrong. I think that he's been solid in every game in this series. Even today, I know they lose. What was the final? Ended up being 5-2.
Yeah, today he was okay.
Well, buddy, I mean, the late charge, and probably didn't like the goal from O'Reilly when it was already 4-2 and they'd already scored the empty netter. And realistically, 3-2 game, in my opinion, right? So I think he even made like a gesture after the goal, like, fuck. Like when after the O'Reilly goal with his glove basically being like, yeah, that one's on me, squeaker. But I mean, other than that, man, like I felt that he kept him in that game early. I thought in the first period, St. Louis was all over him. I thought it could have been way more than 1-0. Although did the first period end 1-0?
That game, well, it was 1-1 when it should have been 5-0.
Correct.
Like St. Louis was dominating game 4. I kind of agree with the whole sense of Talbot was great when Fleury came over, as was Fleury, and it's like you go with the cup winner. You go with the cup winner. Maybe after game 1, I was a little bit surprised Talbot didn't go in with the beating the Blues put on. But boom, the next 2 games, what happens? The storyline in goal switches. It switches sides because the Wild get 11 goals in games 2 and 3. They dust the Blues, both of them, and we get Jordan Binnington back in net for game 4. This guy, I couldn't believe. I think I knew this. I just hadn't remembered. His last win was Game 7 of the Cup Finals in the playoffs.
Nine straight losses coming into this game today. 9 straight
losses, and so you can imagine the stress and the feeling of probably for him. Not only am I in this to kind of save this series, we can't go down 3-1 going back to Mini. But also, like, I just got to get that win. I got to get that win. I got to get back on the winning side. I got to feel good. I'll get the next start if I get a win. And there was a couple sketchy moments down the end. A horrible pinch by Perunovic, the defenseman.
Oh, my God.
We've seen some pinches. Now, for people who aren't necessarily sure what a pinch is, I'm pretty sure everyone does know. And by the way, you brought up Santa Claus. If you got a kid that's young enough that he doesn't know Santa Claus fake and you're allowing him to listen to this podcast, you deserve that and probably jail time. But back to the pinches. When you're playing in the playoffs, and specifically in a third period 1-goal game when your team's leading as a defenseman, you cannot pinch at the offensive blue line unless you are 100% certain that the center or a winger is behind you to make sure it will be a 2-on-2 if it were to happen. Even then, you don't want to, because why have a 2-on-2 against the forward? You've seen different instances in this playoff so far of defensemen going in, not getting the puck, and then not even getting the man. Today it was Hartman. He had a blatant chance, and Binnington made a huge right pad save.
Big time.
The game would have been tied. You see some mental, I don't know, mistakes. Brain farts going on.
I wanted to bring up.
I want to touch on the odd man rushes. Talk mentioned it. I think he had Jazz, our statistician at TNT, bring it up.
Name
and stop me dead in my tracks. Fuck! Now I lost my train of thought. God damn it!
Boy, 3-on-2.
Talk did that to me. Talk did that to me on the TNT broadcast too the other day. He fucking jammed me up. Okay, yeah, odd man rushes. Excuse me. I think there've been 16 goals on odd man rushes, and sticking with this series in Game 3, right off the hop in St. Louis, Parenko ends up dipping in. Mind you, in Game 4, you said it, Whit. He was probably the best guy on the ice via text. He ends up dipping in. And what you're talking about, too, on these pinches is you're saying that unless you have that forward support, F3, the high guy, if he's not above that center or guy in the middle of the ice, you cannot go dipping in. And then, of course, the obvious is you can't get beat by your winger along the wall as that puck comes up. But he looks peripherally. It looked like Perron was in good shape. And then next thing you know, puck goes by him, and Eriksson Ek, who at the time peripherally looked like he was behind Perron, gets shot out of the cannon. Greenway opens up perfectly, back down the other way, and boom, in the back of the net. Before you know it, they're down 1-0. So some massive brain farts that we're seeing. And I was asking Talk, I said, why do you think that is? He goes, I think it's because all these guys, especially when at home, the adrenaline's pumping and you're getting overzealous. And to be fair,
not simple hockey.
And then he also brought up Sidney Crosby. He goes, but to be fair, he says, Pittsburgh's a very structured team. So normally that F3 is above his guy. And when that puck comes along the wall, if that D is not on his toes and maintain that possession inside the zone and then backs off and all of a sudden they got a back check, he comes back to the bench usually and goes, Letang, wake those fucking guys up, be on your toes. You have that F3 support. We need to keep that puck in the offensive zone. But to go even further, know who the hell is on the ice. Sticking with the odd man rush theme, a defenseman for LA. He's on the ice with Draisaitl and McDavid. First game in LA where they end up getting spanked. Same thing. He dips in. Draisaitl and McDavid, two best fucking players in the league, down the other way, and perfect execution on that 2-on-1 as McDavid waits for Roy's stick to come over, baits him in. Perfect little sauce. So we are seeing tons of brain farts defensively. As I mentioned, Talk said he thinks it's because guys being overzealous, overhyped up, overhorned up offensively, and it's leading to all these odd man rush goals. So I've said the word odd man rush enough times for your guys' brain to explode. So I'm going to hand it off to one of you two.
Hey, Kairu's goal today. Holy shit. Well, did he have two actually? So in between the legs, one of the most beautiful goals I've ever seen. I couldn't believe the poise he had. And then Flowers kind of swimming. He backhands it in. I mean, that guy, these two teams are so evenly matched. Kaprizov's been the best player in the series, right? We said he's the best player in the series. He has been. Binnington made a huge save on him late in the third today as well, with the shoulder on kind of that wraparound Peter Forsberg shot. But up 4-0. 4-0. Series is tied. That was the goal we needed to make sure it was over. Paul Campbell saved this guy's confidence. Holy shit. Oh, Ross Colton. What did I say? Now he's got a goal. This guy's an absolute gamer.
All right, we get it. Move on.
What else in Minnesota?
So penalty shot. We got to talk about the penalty shot in game one. There we go. Barbashev, I thought it was a nice defensive play by Brodin. Fucking, they called penalty shot. It was a stick check. What, like, was that a penalty shot or just a fucking nice defensive play?
I have a statement to make about penalty shots, goalie interference, tripping, hooking, anything you could think of, really. I don't know what's a penalty. I don't know what's a goal. I don't know anything.
What okay, so which goaltender interference do you have an issue with right now? And let's talk about it. Off the top of your head, what was the worst non-reversal or reversal saw of the
so the Kako one.
Brutal.
No, like I agreed that was goaltender interference. So I don't get the fans that say it wasn't. And then the one I actually thought in Colorado yesterday, it wasn't called goaltender interference, and I thought it kind of was, like his skates blocking the goalie. I don't get it. I don't get it. There's times defensemen push the player in, and it's still not called. It is called. I think I'm confused with all of them.
Okay, so let's go back to the New York one. The reason I said, and I had a couple Rangers fans, one specifically, this fucking donkey. I said on the TNT broadcast, when he's going into the net, he starts on the right side of the ice, and he's heading towards the left side of the ice. His blades are facing that way. And maybe towards the end, slightly, you start seeing a little bit of snow. Nowhere near the one you saw by Lehkonen in the Colorado game. So regardless of the fact that he ends up bumping in with the Pittsburgh defenseman, there's no way he would have stopped in time to not hit Louis Domingue. And he did end up hitting Louis Domingue, and that's why they called it off. You can't when your blades are headed that way, and how close he was to the goaltender with the amount of speed he had going into the net. There's not a chicken dick's chance in hell that he's going to get stopped in time. But these fucking idiots who never played at a high level nor never played have never skated that fast and know that you wouldn't have been able to turn your blades in time to not run into Louis Domingue. Now let's switch over to Colorado, Nashville. Okay, so. The sole argument of the call will be whether you thought that the Nashville defenseman pushed Lehkonen in enough to cause him to make contact.
And I didn't.
Okay.
But I still thought it would be no goal.
Which is fair. So if that's your thinking, listen, now that one was a complete coin toss. The reason why I thought it should have counted is because his momentum is going that way, and he did have that guy in his back. And I think that probably caused him to run into the defense, or not the defenseman, the goaltender, Ingram's skate. Now, Ingram does move his skate outside the crease. One thing that Coho said was, it doesn't matter. You're not allowed to impede the goaltender's position to make the save. But I figured, given the fact that Lehkonen made the attempt to stop, in which he was stopping, his blades were turned in a stopping position, and you saw the amount of snow that was coming up in that stop, I thought with no push in the back, he would have been able to stop in time. Now, here's what's crazy, and here's what I'm hearing. Because it was a 50-50, that call was sent to Toronto, and then Toronto was unable to make a decision on.
So it's on the refs?
So
it's on the call on the ice.
So they send it back to the officials for the 50-50 and say, if your original call was that, and that's how you felt about the play, you make the call. Now, people hearing that at home might say, that's fucking chicken shit. You have millions of dollars of software to get every angle, blah, 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 blah. I honestly thought, if I was in Toronto, I would have called that a goal. And that was pretty much the series, because if that would have been disallowed, well, I mean, I'll refrain from that statement. It could have been a lot closer, because all of a sudden now that's games 3-3 as opposed to now it's 4-3. And then they put the Avs back on the power play. And we all know what happens when that happens, especially in game 3. They were just snapping around. Cale Makar in game 2.
Dude,
that might have been the greatest playoff performance by a defenseman we have ever seen. 11
shots.
Not
even recency bias, folks.
I'm going to say this.
Freak of nature.
I got
5-0.
Sorry, Christ. The wheels are really falling off. I got carpal tunnel in both wrists from giving fucking Roman Josi hand doogies all season long. I think with that one game, I would be willing to say, give him the Norris. I know you people at home are saying, that's a playoff game. That's nothing to do with who wins it.
Well, they already voted.
Well, then they should fucking ask for their ballots back and change it up, or make it a revote. So some of you are, I'm sure a lot of you are disagreeing with my breakdowns on those two goalie interference. I think that they both were very similar, and that's what people seem to be comparing in the confusion. But
would you not say that these people have a little bit of a gripe and a legitimate complaint that it's that confusing?
You can't keep everybody happy. I think that we can all agree on each of those were 50-50s, and then you have to pick a side. So I gave you the breakdown of probably the thinking between Toronto and the officials and everybody involved making the decision, in that they had to come to one, and why I thought that the Capo one should not have counted, and then why the other one should have. So I know I've been a little bit long-winded.
If it goes to Toronto, they should have to make up the call, because these refs, the game is so quick. They're doing what they can. Yeah, they call it a goal on the ice. Toronto should not be allowed to say, like, sorry, boys, there's 6 of us sitting in a room. We can't figure it out. You guys basically decide.
But I also kind of disagree, because like the ref on the ice who made the call, like, he's got control of the game. He's saying, listen, we saw exactly what you saw. We saw that this was a 50-50. Do you believe that it should count? Because it was. Okay, I want to ask G and RA. Do you guys not agree, specifically the one in Colorado, Nashville, was a complete 50-50 with that Ingram kind of put his skate outside the crease, which changed things up last second, and the guy was also on his ass, and he did, in fact, make an attempt to stop?
I mean, I'll jump in. I watched it at the office, and everyone that I watched it with, I probably watched with 5 or 6 different people. Everyone was indifferent on the call, so it was a toss-up.
Okay, so
I
is
think
there
50,
any?
50.
All right, so all right. Is there any other call in sports besides? Is it a catch, not a catch in the NFL that is like this?
Wow, great question.
Maybe a strike or a ball in Major League Baseball. I understand Biz's point of like, there's like a bunch of 50-50s. You got to pick a side. My whole thing is like, I don't know if it's the speed of the game or the crease determining different factors in terms of inside the crease, outside the crease. It is fucking confusing. And it's becoming even more of a storyline, what seems like every season, with this year being basically the number one topic people are talking about so far in the playoffs. There's how many have there been? 7?
Great. I had a note somewhere. It's like every other game, it seems like there's one of these calls or interference. And Biz, to go back to your thing, I know we disagree. I thought Dumoulin totally pushed Kako into fucking his own goalie. I don't know how people
bet
don't
the Rangers
think
that night.
I know I did, and I acknowledge it fully. But I think I'm pretty good about like putting that aside. I thought he pushed him into the guy that we've seen it. I mean, we've seen calls go the other way where a guy had that similar contact and they
all right. Okay, so I also agree with you, and I did mention that, so I don't want people to think that I didn't say the same thing about the Capo Caco one, but that's Dumoulin's ice just as much as Capo Caco. So if he's heading that way, regardless, what was he? Hey, was he going to jump over the goalie last second? I don't know. He definitely didn't make an attempt to stop, so you got to call it no goal, in my opinion.
But if he doesn't push him, he might not crash into him. I mean, like,
but he also didn't push him. He met him for contact at the side. If you rewatch the replay compared to the Lehkonen one, Dumoulin's on his side. On the other one, the defenseman's on Lehkonen's back. That's the differentiation, in my opinion.
What about the Lucic one in Dallas on Saturday night?
No.
That stood up as a goal. I agreed with that one, but there was Dallas fans furious.
Well, I mean, then they're idiots because Ottinger clearly ends up kicking out his leg outside the crease last second. What's Lucic supposed to do? The Ottinger in that situation initiated the contact outside the crease, not Lucic. And from the overhead angle, it might look like he ends up like hitting his head or his upper body. He didn't. He completely avoided his upper body. So there's no excuse on that one. And fucking Calgary needs all the help they can get. So
we'll get to them. And
I know we will. But I know we kind of we jumped over from the Barbashev penalty. Did you guys want to summarize anything else about the Minnesota-St. Louis series? I was just going to touch on the fact that you said Kaprizov. I think he's tied an organization record for most goals in a playoff series with 5, and there's still probably another 3 games to go because we think this one's going 7.
He's got more records than the Beatles right now.
Yeah, and then, with Minnesota for sure. The Eriksson, Ek, Foligno, and Greenway line have been tremendous. St. Louis's back end is leaking oil. Scandella definitely playing banged up. And overall, very gutsy performance from that St. Louis back end in Game 4 in order to respond, despite being as banged up as they are. And that's pretty much all I had on the St. Louis Minnesota.
I noticed a lot of Minnesota fans. I granted, I hate saying this because it is online. I'm seeing, but not all over Dumba. And you saw him today on the Kyrou goal. He just kind of reversed it to O'Reilly to completely no one, and then Kyrou walked him. So, I mean, at times I think that kid could be a big difference maker, but to hear as many Minnesota fans down on his game as it seems, it was a little surprising to me. I don't watch them as much as fans are watching all 82, but you do notice that when talking about the defense of both teams, Minnesota has a big-time advantage with Krug out and Scandella battling injury. I thought Falk and Parayko were awesome today, and that series is going 7. And now you got Binnington back in net with some swagger that he's always had. So we'll see what happens in Game 5. I'm kind of guessing here, but I think over the course of NHL history and playoff series, I think Game 5 winners, when it's tied 2-2, go on to win 75-80% of the time. So you'll see in these next few games how important these Game 5s will actually be.
Something on like a lighter note. There was a really nice feature on Ryan O'Reilly's mother. Of course, it being Mother's Day, so shout out to all you moms out there. I know it's Monday, but Yoli, You sacrificed and did so many things for me. I love you to death. Have a happy Mother's Day. But
my mom's in Amsterdam, probably getting cranked.
Your mom is?
Yeah, she's over there probably eating brownies.
Space cakes?
Why is she in New Amsterdam?
Well, she's in Amsterdam. New Amsterdam's
Pink
Whitney. She's with a bunch of friends. They went over for a European trip. So,
wow.
You shout out your mom. I should shout out Susie. I love you.
Biz, real quick, if I could jump in. One, shout out to my mom. Love you, Mom. But Biz, I've been emailing with Yoli all week. The Bissonets are going to be rolling deep to the Chiclets Cup from what I'm hearing. Lots of family members.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to be there for his funeral when he gets fucking stabbed in the neck by a Sabres fan.
Bill's mom is going to whack him.
I actually hired them all as security. Keep it in the family. I got the 20%.
Yeah, and you save money on him. You only got to pay him $5 a day.
I'm going to expense
First guy to get killed by ketchup and mustard. He's gonna be the first guy to get murdered with ketchup.
Oh,
all
right. I thought you left. Hey, buddy, what's going on, man?
I try to get a fucking word in edgewise with you two.
But the reason why Ryan O'Reilly's mom was brought up was because she donated a kidney to Derek Nesbitt, who we ended up doing the ECHL Jungle Series video with his father. And I ended up getting a chance to, it's an unbelievable story. They grew up in a small town in Ontario.
Wow.
Yeah. But Ryan O'Reilly, their family, I believe their father's named Bill O'Reilly. They what do you, not adopted, but they were like a foster home. And they fostered many, many children growing up. So Ryan just spoke highly of his mother. It's an awesome feature. I ended up retweeting it. So all you people who have Twitter, go watch it. My words are not doing it justice. And just a very emotional feature on Mother's Day. So all you moms out there, I know there's like 4 of you listen to our podcast. We got a strong male demographic. But you guys deserve it. We love you. And anything else, RA?
That's amazing because I would, to give a kidney to, it wasn't a stranger, but I would never give one because in case my family needed one. So the fact she did that is so honorable and amazing. And then that it ends up being Nesbitt, who you've done a lot of stuff with. And that's a really cool story. I had no idea.
Kudos to anyone who donates a kidney. That's a huge deal.